We wish you a merry fuck you. I mean, whoops. I offended already.
Is that the legal definition of merry fuck you?
I believe so.
Or it's not
I believe so.
A gaggle of fuck yous or a murder of fuck yous?
I believe it's a flock.
Okay. It's not a flying fuck, just a regular fuck.
Yep.
All right.
It's a flock of fuck yous.
That's a lot.
Yes. Well, you got to blame it on the flock of seagulls.
Exactly.
Because they ran so far away.
And with that, we start the funny rabbit's hole. All right, so
my worst dad joke yet. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. Okay, so if you've never been here before, or if you have, you need a reminder. We pick a topic, we talk about that topic until something inspires us to talk about another topic. Generally, that happens quite often, usually at the beginning of the show, in the middle of the show, and near the end of the show, and then when Craig's trying to wrap up the show, and then when I realize Craig's trying to wrap up the show, and then he starts talking about something else, and I start talking about something else, and then it just keeps going on until it doesn't.
Yes, it's a clusterfuck of rabbit holes. So, as Jason said, we take a central topic and blah, 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 previously offended, leave.
Leave. Bye.
I felt like speeding my part of that up today.
Okay, that works. Let's just jump into it. What are we talking about
today? We're going to talk about our favorite Christmas movies by genre, and I need to ask you a question first.
Yes.
What defines a Christmas movie?
I feel that if it's a movie that's either about where the central theme is Christmas or takes place during the year of the holiday season. Right.
So, we've talked about this before. Bruce Willis says Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, but yet the whole premise of it is the movie is for him to get home to spend Christmas with his wife and kid.
Right.
So, therefore, it's a Christmas movie.
Exactly. There's a lot of movies out there that take place around Christmas that most people just don't necessarily think of being Christmas movies.
Right. All right. So what genre do you want to start with?
Let's just jump right into comedy.
Comedy, all right. So I'm thinking this is probably one that not a lot of people will have watched.
Okay.
It's called El Camino Christmas.
Okay, I've never heard of that one. So
it stars Dax Shepard, Tim Allen, and Tim Allen in a role where he's not, playing or spouting his political theories and conspiracy theories and all that shit. He's actually playing a character like Tim Allen used to.
Or, where he's faking being a man's man.
Right. But so the premise of this movie is this guy goes into this town somewhere in the South, and he's looking for his father, who he's never met before. Okay. All he has is a name and all this stuff, and he's jumping through these hoops. He finds Tim Allen at this address that he had gotten for where his father is supposed to be. His father's name is Michael, and Tim Allen introduced himself as Larry. And he takes him to the barn, so he could, try to figure stuff out. So while they're at the bar, Tim Allen basically takes advantage of him and makes him buy him a shitload of drinks and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. It's kind of comedic. They leave the bar, and there's some cops up there, and the cops are played by Dax Shepard, and I know the other guy, I can't remember his name, but he's a little bit of one of those people that were bullies and had to become cops just so they could justify being a bully.
Okay.
And it's the South, so anybody that's not from your town obviously is a bad guy.
Right.
So the other cop just literally beats the shit out of the kid, says they found drugs that were Tim Allen's, and they get arrested and beats the shit out of him, and Dax Shepard at some point goes into where his jail cell is and says, "Hey, I'm sorry about my partner. This this is a bad situation. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I'm going to just see the door's unlocked. I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm going to be in there for a while. And he tosses him his car keys. So the guy takes off with his car. And while he's out, the other cop is out, sees him. There's a car chase, shoots his car, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, they end up holed up in a liquor store with Tim Allen shows up there.
Was it Vincent D'Onofrio as the other cop?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I had to look it up.
I knew him. I couldn't remember his name, but he's awesome. He plays a character awesome. He's a great actor, anyways.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, you know, he finds
Daredevil if you didn't know.
Yeah, they're in the liquor store, and again, it takes place at Christmas. You know, and it got Christmas in the title, so you know.
There you go.
But yeah, they the police force there is like Barney Fife and the retarded hillbillies.
Mm-hmm.
And like Red Foreman, the guy who plays Red Foreman plays the sheriff.
Right.
Yep. And he tells Dax Shepard at one point, he's like, if there was anything I could do, if I had one wish, it would be to be able to time travel, because I would go back into time. And when my brother met your mother and they were getting ready to have sex that resulted in you, I would reach in and tear his dick off.
Nice.
But I mean, it was a good movie. Like, this one girl who's trapped into the liquor store has like this kid who hasn't spoken in forever, and at the end he speaks to the guy who is being framed as the kidnapper holding everybody hostage. And Tim Allen goes out in a blaze of glory. It's actually a good movie. I recommend watching it. I'm not going to spoil any more of it.
Nice. So mine is an oldie but goodie, and I do have to preference this really quick. Okay. It does have Kevin Spacey in it, but not liking this movie because it has Kevin Spacey in it is a lot like saying that you don't want to ever watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off again because the principal turned out to be a pedophile and Matthew Broderick killed a man. So that being said,
Matthew Broderick killed a man?
Yeah, in a car crash.
Aw.
Yeah, this was a long time ago. He was with his sister from that movie, and they ended up crashing into somebody who ended up dying. That being said, my movie is, of course, The Ref.
Yes! Love that movie. Dennis Leary's best movie.
By far, Dennis Leary's best work. Now, if you don't know anything about this movie, Dennis Leary plays a small-time cat burglar who literally gets sprayed in the face with cat piss while he's trying to steal a safe from what turns out to be a fun house. And then the rest of the movie is him being trapped on this little island with some of the most dysfunctional families in America.
Yeah.
They're supposedly rich, but the grandma's the only one with the money. And it's a great comedic vessel for Dennis Leary's comedic style, where he can be a dick, he can yell, and it allowed him to be fantastic. Now, it's also got people like Christine Baranski, who's everybody knows her by face probably. She's plays the most evil mother or sister-in-law ever. And then there's the
funny because she's in my next one.
Oh, nice. And it's also got oh shit, who's the other person I was about to say? J.K. Simmons.
Okay, yep.
From J. Jonah Jameson from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. He won an Academy Award for that drumming movie. But and he's on the State Farm commercials.
Right.
But he's in it and plays the commander of the child's boarding school who's being blackmailed by this child.
Yeah. That kid's
the best part about the whole thing is the nice guy from the town is an old gentleman who dresses up as Santa Claus. However, he's walking around giving fruitcakes out to everybody, and he's also the town drunk.
Right.
So every home he goes to, he has a drink. So every time he seems coming around farther and farther, he gets more and more surly as the night goes on. Then he has this moment with Dennis Leary. It's like he's in their house trying to give them the fruitcake. And he's like, "Did you just have a gun? No. Did you pull a gun on Santa Claus? Or did you shoot me? I'm fucking Santa Claus." And then Dennis Leary punches in the face and knocks him out.
Yeah.
But it.
See, now, one of my favorite parts of that movie is when the grandkids and the sister-in-law join in to tie grandma up and gag her.
Yeah.
So, Christine Baranski, that's her name?
Mm-hmm.
So, great segue. She plays the mother of the chick from that 70s show. What's her name? The dark-haired girl. I want to say, it's not Milena Jovovich, but anyways, y'all know her.
Kunis.
Yes, Kunis, yeah. In A Bad Mom's Christmas.
Mm.
And her character, Christine Baranski, plays the best bitch I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
I mean, she has that real deadlock. And I imagine in real life, she's probably just one of the nicest people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a way for her to exercise her demons, so to speak. You know, I get to be bad in these movies, and then I can let it go and walk away from it.
Right. It's like therapeutic.
Yeah, but she plays this control freak mother who comes to visit her daughter for Christmas with her husband, who is basically her lapdog. And she comes in and takes over. And if anybody's seen A Bad Mother's Night Out or whatever it was called,
Mm-hmm.
funny movie, same cast of characters plus their mothers. Also has Susan Sarandon playing the mother of the drunk slutty friend. Can't remember her name, but so
I can't help you on this one because I haven't seen either one of them.
Oh, you gotta watch them, man. You'd like them. But they're on Netflix. But anyway, but she comes in and there's 3 ladies in it, and all relatively popular actors. I can't remember their names. I've watched so many fucking Christmas movies in the last 4 days that they're all run together. But so she comes in and she's throwing this. They're going to see the Nutcracker, not the Disney version. They're going to watch the 5-hour Russian version that's all tragedy.
Oh, Jesus.
Because that's how you celebrate Christmas. And you go to church, and then you have this Gallic Christmas party. And so she's inviting 150 people to this lady's house. That's not her own house. Yeah. So there's a big battle between mom and daughter, and then kids, and then friends' moms. And like at one point, Mila, whatever her name is, had kicked her mother out of her life. So her mother's in church with the other 2 moms. And then she sits down and has to talk with her dad, and her dad explains to her why her mom's like that, because the way her mother had treated her. And so she goes, feeling bad for what she did. So she goes in and to the church, talks to her mom, and tells her, "I understand why you are the way you are now, and I'm sorry." And like Christine, whatever her name is, the bad chick, kind of like, it's like, okay. And then Susan Sarandon leans forward and goes, "Hey, bitch, your daughter just apologized to you. This is when you say, I'm sorry as well. That's how human beings communicate."
Nice.
But I think she called her something like stick up ass bitch or something like that. But it was funny. Susan Sarandon's character in there is like a traveling hippie who's also a grifter, a gambling addict, and a stoner, smoking pot in church. And
Nice. So the 3 bad moms are Mila Kunis, Kristen Bell, which it's kind of funny that your 2 actually overlap because you had Dak Shepard in the last one, who happens to be Kristen Bell's husband.
Right.
And then the other one was Catherine Hahn, who's most known for the latest is Pontiac minivan commercials or Chrysler minivan commercials. But she was just cast in one of the Marvel MCU as a major character, a
Oh,
villain.
really?
Yeah, I
I think
can't
she'd be a
remember.
good villain.
I can't remember who it was, but I think she's going to go against. She's going to be in. I believe she's an enemy of Scarlet Witch's.
Okay.
But I don't
Well,
know if
and
it was
it's
for the show or if it was for the new Doctor Strange movie.
right. Well, and that really kind of gives you like an idea of the range because in those two movies that she was in, the Bad Moms franchise,
Mm-hmm.
her character is like a lackadaisical, low ambitious stoner alcoholic
Mm-hmm.
slut.
Okay.
And going from that to a supervillain and doing minivan commercials.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do you have another comedy?
I do, as a matter of fact. Um, so this I was kind of torn on what my other one should be, but I was gonna throw out Once Upon a Deadpool just because it's technically in Christmassy time. You know, the movie doesn't take place in Christmas, but the
No,
other part
the real.
kind of does because they
Yeah.
say it does. Anyway, but the other one I wanted to go with one that was another one that was non-traditional Christmas because there's a lot of those. And you could have gone with Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, you know, all the staples.
Right.
But I wanted to go with another one that was similar along the same vein as your Bad Mom's Christmas, and it's Office Christmas Party.
I
Now,
think I've seen that.
Office Christmas Party is, well, actually, Once Upon a Deadpool, it actually has T.J. Miller in it as plays Jason Bateman's brother, and they run this. They run an advertising company, I believe it was. They run this company, and the TJ Miller is like the crazy, you know, crazy owner of the company who's just out there. You know, everything he does is outlandish. It's all about partying, you know, not taking anything serious. And then Jason Bateman plays the typical Jason Bateman character, the straight lace, straight arrow. We got to, you know, everything's got to be by the book. But they go through this whole um, series of events that happens throughout the evening, and I mean you have gang violence, you have mobsters, you have literally the building burning down from like Milton saying I'm gonna burn the building down. Literally this happens, all to make it all come around in a nice little Christmas circle where the company actually doesn't go under, where that's the whole premise of the thing is Jason Bateman realizes that they've only got X amount of dollars left to keep the company going, and they're probably going to have to lay all these people off. But TJ Miller wants to throw a party instead, so he ends up
Okay.
throwing the party. And as it and as it comes full circle, you realize that he's been walking around this huge Santa suit with all the money to save the company underneath it. And highly recommended. There are so many people in it that you would recognize in this movie, like Olivia Munn, T.J. Miller, Kate McKinnon, obviously Jason Bateman, Jennifer Aniston. There's a shitload of people in this. Highly recommended, funny movie.
I have one more, and it is somewhat of a staple.
Okay.
I picked the Bill Murray movie Scrooged.
Okay.
Carol Kane, to me, made this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
So
Bill Murray was great, but she was. Go ahead.
the three ghosts, I think, are what make that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Her as was she the ghost of Christmas Present, right?
Yes.
Yes, and she kept punching him,
Yes.
which was great. And David Johansen being the cab driver ghost.
Yep.
It is fucking hysterical. He's Ghost of Christmas Present or past. He's Ghost of
Past.
Christmas Past.
Yeah, because
And then
that
Ghost
was
of
the premise of the taxi.
Yeah. Then the Ghost of Christmas Future was the pushy guy in the elevator.
Yep.
So the three ghosts are to me what make that movie. Of course,
Yes.
you can't go wrong with Bill Murray.
No, and his brother, was it Brian Murray was in there too?
Yeah.
But
Two of his brothers are actually in that because he was in it as like the studio exec,
mhm.
but then his brother from Ghost of that was in all the scenes there, that was also Bill Murray's brother.
Okay.
The two of his, I know at least two of his brothers were actually in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really need to talk a lot about it because we'd be here forever, but it is a great movie. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know what rock you've been under, but it's something you should watch every Christmas season because it's worth it.
It's one of those movies too that it allowed Bill Murray to I don't know why my timer was going off. It allowed Bill Murray to be Bill Murray.
Right.
There
Who was
sections of just Bill Murray improving.
Was it Andy McDowell that was his love interest in it?
No, it wasn't Margot Kidder, but it's the one from Indiana Jones that kind of looks like Margot Kidder.
Give me just a second. I'm gonna look it up.
Karen Allen?
I'm not sure. Hold on.
Because Andy McDowell was his love interest in
Yes.
Groundhog Day.
Yes, it's Karen Allen. She plays Claire Phillips.
Yes.
I mean, here's a list of some of the cast. You got Bill Murray, Karen Allen, Carol Kane, David Johansen, Bobcat Goldthwait, Alfred Woodworth, John Forsythe, Robert Mitchum, John Glover, John Murray, Michael J. Pollard, Michael O'Donoghue, and that's just a small bit of the cast.
Yeah.
It's a huge cast, and
But
it is definitely worth watching. But yeah, that was.
I'm just going to tell you one line. But I want to see her nipples.
Right. Joel Murray's the other brother.
Okay.
Shit, Paul Schaefer is in it, and the Where's the Beef lady was in it.
Oh.
Klinger was in it.
Oh yeah, he was because it's the Christmas thing at the end.
Yep.
Because he plays Tiny Tim or something. Or no, Mary Lou Retton plays Tiny Tim.
Yeah, he plays, I think, Bob Cratchit or something.
Bob Cratchit, yeah. Because I remember the commercials within the movie for the live production. The whole thing's about them making. He's a studio exec. He's trying to make a live version of the Christmas Carol.
Right.
And yeah, because I remember Jamie Farr, and then Mary Lou Retton as Tiny Tim, and she drops the crutch and does some backflips.
Yeah, and interesting side note, him falling on the way out of the restaurant was totally accidental. They just kept it in the movie.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting. All right, so that's all I got. I mean, there's tons of other good comedies out there, but I knew if we just focused on comedies, we could do 3 hours by itself.
Right.
So, what is, let's jump into action.
Okay.
I'm going to pick one that nobody would think was a Christmas movie, and probably a lot of you people have never seen because you're not as old as us. Less Than Zero.
Oh, yeah.
And it qualifies because it happened during Christmas time because this college kid played by Andy, he's part of the Brat Pack. Yep, Andrew McCarthy. Comes back from college to hang out with his friends played by Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr., and
Jamie Gertz.
Jamie Gertz. And he finds out his.
I was going to say James Spader is also in there.
Yep, James Spader is also in there. And he comes back to find out his friends are basically drug addicts, and he kind of follows them down the path. And it's a really, really on edge movie.
So you were used to seeing all of them And in movies like, I mean, you got to see a little bit of drama come out of them with St. Elmo's Fire,
Right.
but only one of them was actually in St. Elmo's Fire. So Andrew McCarthy was in St. Elmo's Fire. So you got to see his
Right.
acting chops a little bit. But to see some of the others take on such a dramatic role like
Yeah.
this, especially it's where Robert Downey Jr. goes from being the dick who drops a slushy on the kids in Weird Science and tries to create their own girl. But was it? Oh, he grows up into he plays this kid, young rich kid who just gets cocaine addicted and goes to no lengths to try to continue, and all the debts and everything else that Andrew McCarthy, who gets out of town, tries to come back and try to save his friends from the life that they've created.
But it looked like fun.
Oh yeah, when you're
So,
in your late teens, early 20s.
right. And that was listed under action movies. I don't know why. I would consider it more a drama.
It is more of a drama, but I can see it as an action.
Yep. So,
No.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to jump in with mine if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So mine is kind of an out there one for this too. But ever since I was a little kid, I read these books, and it wasn't until later in life that I learned a lot of the religious symbology in them. But it didn't deter me because of my childhood fascination with this story. But my Christmas action is slash fantasy, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, see, I had that under fantasy. Yep. And I mean, it's a great movie. It's a feel-good movie. It's got, I mean, everything that you'd want in fantasy plus family entertainment.
Right.
I mean, it could really be listed in like 6 different genres, honestly.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Action because the two of the Christmas parts really are the Mr. Tumnus scenes when Lucy first comes into the wardrobe and meets not James Marsden. Who's the young Professor X?
Oh God!
James McAvoy. He plays Mr. Tumnus in it, which nobody knew who he was at this point in his career, but he does a splendid job at that. But then there's the whole Santa Claus scene later where they're being chased.
Right. So I'm trying to remember the name of this movie, and it takes place in winter, and I believe close to Christmas. So I'm calling it. Is it Judgment Night with Dennis Leary?
Yes.
And Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yep. Judgment
and all
Night.
that. And that happens near Christmas, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm calling it a Christmas movie, damn it. I love that movie. I'm sure you remember it better than I do, so I'm going to let you explain it.
Well, that movie had one of the most ambitious soundtracks.
Oh, God, yes.
Out there.
I think that's why we love the movie so much.
That's why most people remember them. That's why most people even remember the movie is what they did was they took a hip hop / rap artist and a heavy metal artist, put them together and had them write their own songs.
Right.
So you had a band like Helmet with a band like House of Pain.
Right.
And you had like Ice-T with Slayer. And those some really cool songs that were on there, very memorable. But
yes.
More memorable than the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, they're being chased by Dennis Leary and his gang, and it's Cuba Gooding Jr. and some of his friends. I can't remember all the actors.
Right.
But it is a good movie.
Right.
I mean, it's a edge of your seat movie.
It's kind of like surviving the game in an urban setting instead of out in the woods.
Right. Right.
Because they end up in the wrong place at the wrong time and it's a misidentity thing. They get accused of doing something that wasn't them. I forgot what they saw a crime, or I Jesus Christ, it's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, I think they saw a crime or a drug dealer or something like that, and they got caught seeing it,
Yeah.
and were chased down and basically stalked throughout the city.
Yes.
But I mean, you got any more action movies?
I would throw in the fact that Die Hard is a fact. It is a goddamn Christmas movie.
I'm gonna throw in Lethal Weapon there too, because the first Lethal Weapon happened at Christmas time.
It does happen at Christmas.
But oddly enough, Jim Carrey's Grinch is listed as an action movie.
Okay. I mean, there's some action sequences with the sled,
right?
And him being takes the trash chute.
Yeah.
There, so there's some action sequences, but I wouldn't necessarily.
I would call it maybe action / comedy / family.
The next genre I was going to throw out, my mind for it can actually fit into a lot of those same categories.
Okay.
I was going to say, do you have a Christmas sci-fi?
I do not. I have a TV Christmas sci-fi, but I do not have a movie sci-fi.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me double check. No, these are not sci-fi. Okay.
Okay. But this is also a comedy. It could be an action, and there's several other things that could come out. But I threw under sci-fi just because it might even be horror. But to me, it was Ghostbusters 2.
Oh yeah, Ghostbusters. All of them. I like them all. I don't care if it's new cast, old cast. I like them all.
See, I had a hard time with the reboot because and here's why. It's nothing against Kristen Wiig or Leslie Jones or Melissa McCarthy, and I think was Kate McKinnon the other one. Yeah.
Yes.
So
love Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, I do too. Individually, I loved all of them. The problem I had was they've all been typecast so many times as dumb people in roles that it was hard for me to suspend the disbelief of their previous things. So now that they're super geniuses in the paranormal in their given fields, it was a little hard. It was hard for me to get through that. Now, it was easy for me to do this with the original cast because Dan Aykroyd can talk hours on all of this stuff.
Right.
Then Harold Ramis could talk for hours on all this stuff. And Bill Murray can rant about anything.
Yep.
So knowing Dan Aykroyd's background, it was so much easier to believe that he's a PhD.
Right. And see, for me, it's like when I go to see a comic book movie. I know it's not going to be anywhere near what the comic book was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shut that part of my brain off and shut off the expectations and just go and try to enjoy it for what it is. So that's how I was able to enjoy, the all-female cast of Ghostbusters.
Okay. I'll give it another shot.
Because, whenever I go to movies like that, reboots and remakes, I try to just shut off that part that remembers the past one and go, okay, let's give it a chance. Let's look for redeeming qualities instead of just ripping it apart.
Right.
Because that's what we normally do.
Yeah.
Do you have any more sci-fi ones?
No, that was the only one I had for sci-fi.
Okay. Did you find any mystery or Western ones?
Or Western? No.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I didn't find any for either of those yet. There was some Western ones, but I've never
and they were, they were kind of, I guess I probably would have paid more attention. I probably could have found some mysteries that happen around Christmas.
Right. So with that, let's jump right to horror.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw out the first one, Krampus.
Perfect.
And yes, it is the one with Toni Collette and all that you're talking about last night.
So I really enjoyed. To go against my argument for the Ghostbusters. seeing David Koechner and Adam Scott in this type of movie was a little different. Now, Toni Collette wasn't hard to believe, and actually being in this movie actually made Heredity even scarier.
Yeah.
Because her performance in that is haunting.
Yeah.
But going into a horror film with those two guys, and if you don't know those two guys, they've been in a lot of the Will Ferrell movies,
Mm-hmm.
and they basically do comedy,
Right.
But to see them in a horror film, and it wasn't a hacky slashy one, it was more of a suspense, and it was more of a, it kind of gave it a almost a Stephen King vibe of what the fuck's going on.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it was a big movie when it came out, and I'm sure most of our audience have seen it. And it's not really that old either. I can't
No,
find the
2000.
2000 what?
Oh, that's not the right one.
And like Film Jabber gave it a rating of C+, so it's good, because when a critic gives it a low grade, it's got to be a good movie.
Right.
But the twisted ending is the best, because in the movie, Krampus kills everyone except for Max.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden everything disappears, and Max wakes up in bed, and he's with his family, and it's Christmas Day, and they're all alive again, and then zooms out, and they're in a snow globe in Krampus's hand.
Yeah.
And basically, what happened was, Krampus pulled Max down to hell, and that's where he, like, everything just dissolved and disappeared, and then it comes back like this. But it's that reliving 2001?
15.
Okay. So it's only 5 years old. But, the ending could mean that, it's open to, I love the ones that are open to interpretation, because then you're going, oh, did he just imagine all this? Or is he forced to relive that Christmas day in hell every day of eternity?
Right. Yeah. Krampus is an interesting story anyway, and we'll do a lot more on. I think we'll do a deep dive into that when we do our next episode, which is about the lore of Santa and Christmas.
Right.
So we'll have to do the anti-Santa, which is, of course, Krampus, who punishes the bad kids.
Right.
But,
yeah, I've been like, Prep and Landing is actually a good cartoon on the Disney Channel about Christmas. Oh shit.
Was that all you had on yours?
For horror?
Yeah. No, for Krampus.
Yeah, for Krampus. Yeah, go ahead.
Which is, of course, another one that came out in 2015, is A Christmas Horror Story. Now,
okay, this
is an interesting movie because it was
I wanted to watch it, but I wasn't willing to pay money to watch
it. It's an anthology movie. Most anthology movies are based around, there's a central thread that holds them together. In this one, it's William Shatner as a DJ talking on Christmas Eve on the radio. And he kind of gives the intro to each one of these stories. But there's evil elves, there's doppelgangers, there's ghost possession, but the best one is a straight out fucking fight between Santa Claus and Krampus in the reindeer stable.
Nice.
It is best Christmas scene for the money. There to watch Santa just, buffed out Santa fighting a goddamn demon that's got chains. And it's got William Shatner in it. So
right, you can't go wrong. I wanted to watch that, but I couldn't find a free copy of it, and it's Christmas time. I can't frivolously spend money.
Right. I get it.
So, I do have, a couple more for horror.
I definitely have one more.
But I mean, Gremlins,
Yes.
You know, I don't really need to talk about it if you haven't seen it. I
Which
mean,
to me could also be in comedy.
yeah, I mean, my kids have seen it, and there's also Jack Frost.
Oh, okay.
And the premise of this movie is Jack Frost is actually a serial killer, and he's caught. He killed 36 people through 5 states, and he's caught in Colorado, and he's on his way to prison for the rest of his life. And there's an accident, and this with a chemical truck that melts him into the snow. So now the cop thinks he's dead. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yay, he's gone. But he had vowed to take his revenge on that town. And so
Mm.
he comes back as a snowman. And like his son, ironically, the cop's son had built the snowman,
Hmm.
and the town bully was picking on him about a snowman, and the town bully got decapitated by his own sled. It's not, I mean, it's not a great movie, but it's a good Christmas horror movie.
Okay, so back in the day when there was still this thing called video stores, or if you don't know what a video store is, it was a place which you used to go into, like an actual building, and rent movies, kind of like a red box, but it was like a building. And then you
Right.
could go inside and talk to people and pull shit off shelves. But Jack Frost had one of the coolest uh, DVD covers
Yeah.
because it looked like a regular snowman, but then if you turned it, it was like those, I forgot what it's called when they're the ribbed dual image.
Holograph.
But you would do that, and then it had these black teeth, black pointy teeth. Yes, that would change from a regular snowman to that evil snowman.
Right. Yeah, because like X-Men comic books used to have cards like that
Hmm.
that you turn it and it changed the picture.
Yeah.
They're called holodeck cards.
So I've
But
seen that movie once a long time ago.
yeah,
So until it was like coming back at me like a flood when you were talking about it. But that was a good one. Not a great movie, but it's a good choice.
yeah. I
So,
mean, it fits the genre, and
mhm,
it's a supernatural slasher film,
yeah.
so
So
it fits the horror category.
okay, segue slasher
Mm-hmm.
film.
Slasher films.
So
Okay.
no, well, there's one Christmas movie that I picked out for horror that actually gave birth to the entire genre of slasher films.
In what movie might that be?
That is the original 1974 classic Black Christmas.
Huh. Ooh, I have not seen that.
So, Black Christmas came out long before you had a Freddy, long before you had a Jason, long before you had a Silent Night, Deadly Night, long before you had all these other evil Christmas movies. But it birthed the slasher film because it was a perverse killer who, you know, breaks into this home and just starts stabbing people. Basically, is what it is.
Right.
It's not a great movie, but it's also gave us the formula for all of the rest of the slasher films to follow.
Right.
You kill everybody, but then you can't kill the woman. The little frail woman at the end, she becomes your nemesis, which
Yep.
turns out to be the same premise as Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Scream.
Scream, uh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They all had the same exact premise. So that's where I like to do a little rant about how they talked about how sexist these movies were towards women. It's like, but the woman is the hero in
Yeah.
every single one of these fucking films. Obviously, you've never seen one.
Right.
So
All right.
I had you can't have the Christmas horror genre without talking about Black Christmas, which actually spawned the actual slasher film.
Right.
Because this was even before like Cannibal Holocaust. This was before. I mean, this movie was early.
Yeah. Yeah. 74 is pretty early. I think we were really small then.
Yeah, it would have been one if this
And
came out at Christmas.
two. Yeah. So from the slasher, I'm going to segue into thriller.
Okay.
And for me, I've only got one on here, and I watched it a couple days ago, called Better Watch Out.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to watch that yet, but I will, just because.
Okay. And what makes this movie for me is one scene at the beginning of it. I mean, it is a good movie. If you watch it, you will enjoy it. But
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the movie, Patrick, was it Warburton?
Yes.
He plays this metrosexual type dad, and his wife and him are getting ready to go to a Christmas party, and they have a 15-year-old son who they're having a babysitter come over for. I'm still trying to figure out why a 15-year-old boy needs a babysitter. But
Okay.
so as they're getting ready, Patrick's doing all that kind of stuff, kind of effeminate stuff, and his wife looks at him and says, "Are you sure you've never had a cock in your mouth? You didn't like experiment in college? Somebody didn't just slip one in there sometime and you kind of liked it?"
Nice.
But basically, the premise of this movie is the 15-year-old is in love with his babysitter who's getting ready to leave for college and move away from the town and stuff like that. And he's trying to get her, but he's also, I call this a psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's more about the psychology of what this kid will do and how twisted shit gets and how one bad turn creates a landslide of fucking murder.
Interesting.
You got to kill to cover your tracks, and we all know how that goes in movies. You kill one person to cover your tracks, and another person pops up. You got to kill, and it keeps going and going and going. Snowball effect.
Exactly. The really fucked up version of the
Yeah.
butterfly effect.
Right. Do you have a thriller?
I do, as a matter of fact. It's not one that a lot of people like, but I did like it, and that's Eyes Wide Shut.
I have never actually watched that movie.
Okay.
I don't like Nicole Kidman or Tom Cruise.
So he plays so he was in a bunch of lawyer films around this time, and that's the character that he plays. So it's like, okay. Nicole Kidman does not play the character you normally expect her to play. Okay, she's his wife who had an affair, and throughout most of it is like flashback dream sequences where she's just fucking mean, which is a very different role to see her in. But the whole suspense of this secret society and how they could get to you, and how, when you're watching this, you kind of wonder, is like, have you ever seen the movie The Game with Michael Douglas and Sean Penn?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the premise of that was you get put into this game, and then there's so much external control over your life at this moment. Now that's gave you the sense of this, and then same with Eyes Wide Shut. It kind of gives you the sense of, are there secret societies that are secretly ruling our government, secretly ruling the world, and how perverse are they? So it's kind of that world that we did when we did the magic episode. We were talking about like Aleister Crowley and the Hermetic Dawn.
Okay.
Type of thing. They're all masked up and stuff. It's creepy as hell world that they create, and it does take place in December. So.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to go from there and jump up to fantasy.
Okay.
Now, I actually watched this last night. It's on Disney Plus. It's Nutcracker and the Four Realms. And I think it falls under fantasy because it's interdimensional travel, it's magic style stuff and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty decent movie. It wasn't, it's not like, hey, I want to watch it 17 times. I probably will never watch it again. But It wasn't bad, I have actually quite a few on fantasy if you have any.
Oh, I do have one actually.
Okay.
So I put this one on here because it was a guilty pleasure of mine and my sister when we were growing up. It's an old, I even think it was made for TV, to be honest, but it was a Drew Barrymore vessel called Babes in Toyland,
Okay.
and it had Keanu Reeves in it. It's a musical, but it was also a fantasy thing. But my sister and I would watch this movie once or twice a year, just
Okay.
because it was something that we had,
Mm-hmm.
But was
V
it
or
great?
S?
What's that?
V or S?
V.
Okay.
Uh, and this was young Drew Barrymore, so I had a crush on her back then.
Right. I still do, especially when she's a zombie in that Netflix show.
Oh, so uh, so was it a great movie? No, it had Keanu Reeves singing as a teenager. Not great.
Right.
Came out right before Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yep.
So she was post Gurney, pre Charlie's Angel, and he was
Right.
almost Ted,
Right.
not quite John Wick.
Okay, so I've got a few. Ed, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, okay.
That falls into that category. I don't need to talk
Okay.
about that. I'm sure most people have already watched it. I watched it as background noise yesterday for the first time, and I know it's big, and I'm probably going to piss our cousin off if she ever listens to this because I know people enjoy it. I don't remember half of it. That's how interested I was in it.
I'll say this: I was never really the biggest fan of that movie and a couple of the other Tim Burton animated movies. It's like I respect them as a genre and the stop motion that they used, but just the movies themselves didn't do anything for me.
Right. And see, and I have another Tim Burton movie on this fantasy list.
Okay.
This one is Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, okay.
This one happened around Christmas time, starring Winona Ryder, Johnny Depp. I don't remember the rest of the cast, but basically, everybody's seen the movie. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going into my last one on here, and that's starring Kurt Russell in Christmas Chronicles Part 1.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Part 2 yet.
I haven't
Part
either.
1. I'm waiting for my daughters to get here, and then we're going to watch Part 2. I promised them that we'd watch it, so I'm not going to watch it before they get here.
The first one was one of those movies where had somebody else not turned it on, I probably never would have watched it.
Right.
But it came on. It's like, oh, okay. So I sat there, got into it, and then it was a decent movie.
Yeah, and it's got Kurt Russell, it's got Goldie Hawn. Granted, Goldie Hawn didn't come in that one until the end of the movie.
Right.
But it was a really good movie. I don't want to spoil the movie.
All the way through the second one.
Right. I don't want to spoil the movie for people, but Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, you can't go wrong with. There's very few things that they've been in that's been shit.
Yeah.
They can take a shit script and a shit movie and turn it into a decent film.
Because they're just likable people.
Yes.
On screen, anyway. Yes. I don't know them personally. But.
And there's one scene in that movie where Kurt Russell's in jail and he's jamming out with the rest of the people in jail and singing about Santa Claus in a jazzy bluesy style. Yeah. It's just fucking awesome. And interesting note, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn have been together for 37 years and have never gotten married.
That's wild.
But it just goes to show you don't need a piece of paper.
It's true. You don't. You don't.
But if you do, hey, more kudos to you. It's your choice. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But yeah, that's all I got for fantasy.
So I do have do you have anything under crime?
No, I do not.
Okay, I've got two. Out of this one, I guess you mentioned Lethal Weapon earlier. We could have put that one under crime. So I guess technically you have one under crime.
Yep.
The first one is In Bruges.
I tried to find that, but again, I wasn't willing to pay money to watch it.
I'd seen it a while ago, and never been the biggest Colin Farrell fan. But this one I appreciated because he talks in his own accent,
Mm-hmm.
and you can barely understand him. But he has got this fascination with little people
Okay.
in it, and he meets, um, oh crap, who's the little dude from? He was in uh, Endgame. Dinklage, Peter Dinklage.
Okay. Yep.
He was in Game of Thrones,
Yep.
but he's in this movie as an actor who happens to be staying in the same town that all this takes place. Now, he's a gangster, not he's the actor, but Colin Farrell's a gangster, an assassin, along with uh, Peter Gleason, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He's he's Mad Eye Moody from the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Also, T speaks in a thick accent, so they're both kind of hard to understand. But they're both assassins, and they realize that the one is there to kill the other, but they're
Right.
friends. But the whole thing with the little people is it's worth watching just for the first bar scene that they have together.
And see, I want to watch it just because I read about it. It sounded interesting, but again, I'm trying to save money for, because got to buy Christmas presents for everybody else. So
Right. It's not all
I'm
about
being,
our podcast.
I'm being responsible. So do you have,
And the other one I was going to throw is the Sidley Lumet amazing. Was it Sidley Lumet? No, it was not. The French Connection with Gene Hackman.
oh, okay.
Okay, classic movie. Not really going to go into it, but that happens
Right.
over Christmas time too.
So I'm going to segue that into drama.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw out the Christmas Carol with George C. Scott playing Scrooge.
Okay. I was at the end of this. I was going to ask you what your favorite Christmas Carol rendition was.
Well, that's not my favorite.
Oh, okay. It was mine.
Was it?
Yes.
Mine's Muppets. Mine's the
Okay.
Muppets.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Which is on my list here, but I'm not there
Nice.
yet. But no, George C. Scott is always. I mean, I don't even know if he's still alive.
He's not. He passed away a few years ago.
That's what I thought. But he was a phenomenal actor. He would personify whatever role he took on, and everybody knows the movie Christmas Carol, the story Christmas Carol. So I don't need to go into it. But to me, George C. Scott epitomizes what Scrooge is.
Mm-hmm. If he made, or everybody knows him from his Academy Award-winning role in Patton, but he made the movie Exorcist 3 with his performance.
Yeah,
him and Brad Dourif, another phenomenal actor. He was the sleazy man behind Sauron, the guy in the black that gets shot with the arrow and falls. But anyway, they did amazing performance in that. But the George C. Scott version was George C. Scott as Ebenezer was what I always pictured Ebenezer.
Yes. And probably because it came out when we were kids.
Yeah.
With probably why it has had such a lasting impression on us. I'm sure like kids today would have a different one that they would see as the best. But do you have any drama ones?
No, I put them under crime.
Okay, well I'm gonna go into this other one, A Christmas in Compton.
Oh yeah.
This one stars Omar Gooding, who people would know from being the son of Cuba Gooding. Yep. But it's a good movie. It's got a good cast. It's got Eric Roberts playing a piece of shit record producer, which he's really good at playing a piece of shit, that is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got Keith David plays Omar Gooding's father, and Keith David, he's been in so many things. Let me open up another link, see here if it tells us me anything else about it. Oh, let me see. Oh, there we go. Here's his biography and IMBD. Try to figure out what you guys would know him from. I'm not used to looking at IMBD on the computer. I'm used to doing it on my phone. So I don't really know much about this one. Oh, he has been in so many movies, though. Where is his filmography? Why is it so hard to find on the computer version? Oh, yeah. Anyways, look him up. He's a great actor. It's just it's a feel good movie about a kid getting screwed over and trying to, win back the faith of his father, his friends, and his community.
Right. Nice.
So there's that. And that's all I got for drama. I mean, I could segue into romance.
We could do that.
Or as I like to call them, rom-coms.
Yes.
And I would have to say my favorite rom-com Christmas movie, and we've talked about this guy before because he's one of our favorite actors as a kid, is Serendipity, starring John Cusack and Kathleen Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
Really good movie. They accidentally meet at the beginning of the movie. They're ice skating and all this stuff, and she writes her number in his book that he has or something like that, and then they get rid of the book. She's like, if you find the book, then it's meant to be. If not, then it's not. And they are both with other people at the time, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, John Cusack, you can't go wrong there.
Right.
But that's kind of a loosely based, or I don't know if it really is, but it's very similar to movies like Same Time Next Year.
Yeah.
Where these two people meet, and then like every year they keep getting together, but every time that they meet, they're in a different, like one's married and the other's not. They're never together, or they're never in the same spot relationship wise that as the other one.
Right. Do you have any romance or rom-coms? Because I consider rom-com romance. I won't watch like romance movies. I never watched Titanic and never will.
Oh, okay. Mine is the Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon, Four Christmases.
I love that one.
Which, they're from divorced families, both of them. So they each have to go to each of their mothers and each of their fathers all on the same Christmas.
Right.
And it's just them one Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I can't remember what it was, but they have to spend time at every single one of their families, and each family is just completely different from the other one.
Right. I have another one, and that is Ghosts of Girlfriends Past with Matthew McConaughey, which is basically like a Christmas Carol with girlfriends.
Okay.
Someplace he might know Keith David from was Something About Mary. He played Mary's dad.
Yes. How'd you get the beans from both the Frank?
Right. But I mean, he's been in so many things. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Transporter 2, Barbershop. That's where I remember him from, his Barbershop.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been in a lot of shit. So sorry about that. I had to figure that out. So Ghost of Girlfriends Past, like I said, it's Matthew McConaughey. It's a funny movie. It's fun.
One that's okay, that's in this genre is Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds and Amy
Smart? Not Smart.
And Anna Faris is in it too.
Yep.
Where he used to be really fat and she was best friend, but then he comes back looking like Ryan Reynolds later in life.
Right. Ripped to shit. And
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's. I only have a couple more genres left. I have family, cartoon, and then TV specials.
Okay. That's
Do
pretty
you?
much what I've got left.
Okay. So I already brought this up earlier, but for family, my favorite is The Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's a good one.
Whereas Michael Caine plays Scrooge in this one, who is also a phenomenal Scrooge.
Yes.
And you have the fucking Muppets.
So, yeah, exactly. I mean, I never leave the house without him. Actually, I leave the house
Right.
without him. I never have a podcast without him. Without one of them.
Yeah.
So my original family one was Gremlins.
Oh, okay.
Was my original family one, but I'll throw out Polar Express
Okay. I've never watched it. No,
as
I
a
have
family
no
one.
desire to.
It, I've only seen the movie once, but I read the book several times when I was younger. You know, it's a decent little story of a kid who kind of like matures on a train with Tom Hanks's like 70 characters.
Right. Now, see, I had one more, and that's the movie Noelle,
Okay.
starring Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader from Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
And the premise of this one is Bill Hader and Anna Kendrick are Santa Claus's kids. She plays Noelle Claus. He plays Nick Kringle.
Okay.
He is next in line to become Santa Claus, but yet she is more qualified for the job.
Gotcha.
And then you can just imagine the hijinks that goes from there.
Right.
And it's cute. It's not great, but it's cute. It's worth a watch.
And then,
If you're want to feel good for Christmas, watch the feel good movie.
yeah, and you can't go beyond family without throwing out Elf.
I could throw it out. My kids watch that thing over and over again, and I can't fucking stand it anymore. I would definitely throw it out the window with the garbage.
Well,
Yeah,
we're not doing all your typicals, like Christmas Story, Home Alone, Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, because they've been played
Yes.
to death. I am sick of those movies.
No.
I wish somebody would shoot Ralphie in the fucking head.
So TBS did to Christmas Story what they actually did for It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
Now, It's a Wonderful Life was actually, it was the worst panned movie by Frank Capra. Okay. This movie was not liked when it originally came out. They thought it was trite. They thought it was boring. They thought it was unrealistic. They thought it was like too preachy. It was not liked when it first came out. Now,
I'm with them.
Fast forward 30 years, and TBS, at the Superstation, this is before they were picked up by cable networks, but they're not the network that they are now, needed something to run, and they didn't want to pay for anything, so the all the rights and everything to It's a Wonderful Life had pretty much run out. It is now in fair use. So it was a free Christmas movie. They ran it for 24 hours a day, talked about it being so great. It's this, that. Next thing you know, its ratings, like the stars it got, it's like it was a 1-star. Now it's a 3-star. Now it's the 4-star classic.
Yeah.
But that movie was generally disliked when it came out. Fast forward, Ted Turner, being cheap, played that movie over and over again until it got to the point where people like start waiting for it to come out. Like, I'm looking at its Metascore right now. It's at an 89. If that score would have existed back then, it would have been in the 20s.
Right. But, see, I'd put it at like negatives.
Yeah. But it was generally hated until they got to play it for free. And then they started doing it every year after that, and then it became this immortal Christmas classic.
Right, and then they did the same thing to A Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm. Relatively obscure film that people didn't know about. The first time I saw it was on TBS when I was a kid.
Right. Yeah. So Do you have any more family ones?
No, but I'd have it like I have. You said the other one was animation.
Yeah, cartoon. Like,
Okay.
I'll let you start. Go ahead.
Okay. This one, a lot of people might go, huh? But it's the Smurfs Christmas Carol. Yes.
Smurfette was a whore.
It was all about. This one actually came out not too long ago. This is, well, get off there. I'm trying to find the date that it came out because I just watched it the other night.
I have not watched it. I probably would.
This one came out in 2011. So
Okay.
The
9 years
Smurfs
old.
obviously were canceled back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then they came out with a couple of different Smurf movies.
Right.
It's got a lot of the same actors and stuff that were in the Smurf movies doing this. But
Okay.
wasn't a big fan of the movies. But watching Grouchy Smurf be like the Ebenezer character.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
It was
cute.
Worth a shot.
If I could find it, I would probably watch it because I always liked the Smurfs. Because they use Smurf the way we use fuck.
Exactly.
It's a noun, adjective, verb.
Yes.
So
exactly.
For me, my first cartoon, it's on Netflix. It's called Klaus with a K, Klaus. Really good movie about how this rich entitled kid was sent up to this remote island because his father was a postal entrepreneur who owned all these postal businesses. In order to get on that island, he had to have 6,000 letters posted by his own hand. So he basically creates Santa Claus.
Oh, okay.
And gets all the kids to pay him a penny to mail out the letter to Santa Claus, where he goes up and he finds this old toy maker and they deliver presents to the kids.
Gotcha.
It's actually a really good movie, though. I enjoyed it.
My next animated one is another. It might go under Christmas special for most. I'm doing it animated. Is the Charlie Brown Christmas?
Yeah.
And I know people like my brother absolutely hate Charlie Brown.
I love Charlie Brown.
But I watch it every year just to watch the tree. And watch Linus put the blanket around the tree and all of a sudden it stands up.
Yep. Now, see, for me, when it comes to that, I can't talk about those without talking about the original Grinch, the original Rudolph, and Frosty.
You should lump them because they were generally on the same night every year.
Yeah, and the one with Heat Miser and all that, I can't even remember the name of it. Santa Claus Coming to Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't talk about that stuff without talking about them.
Right.
And from there, I'm going into TV specials, and for TV specials, mine are a bit off the wall. And I'm gonna tell you what my first one is. I'm gonna let Jason explain it because he's more in tune with this show than I am.
And I think we had the same one for this one.
Yeah, this is an Always Sunny Christmas.
I don't know if you've never seen It's Always Sunny, or if you'd seen It's Always Sunny up until this point. I think it came out in their 6th season.
Yeah.
This was an eye-opening thing for her, how all of their Christmas traditions were actually bullshit.
Yep.
And that's one of the easiest ways to put it. And Mac and Charlie Day, and then Rob McElhenney were running around going through. They were going to have their own Christmas because Dee and Dennis were going to do their own thing. They weren't going to.
Right. They hated Christmas. They wanted nothing to do with it.
Yes. Because Christmas sucked for them because of what
Frank did to them.
Frank did to them as children, which is funny anyway, because Frank would always find out what they wanted for Christmas, buy it for himself.
Yep, and destroy it.
He went all out. He bought the designer bag that Dio had wanted and the Lamborghini Countach that Dennis had always bought. Yes, he bought the actual Lamborghini, bright yellow. He buys the the leather suit and a racing helmet for some reason.
Yeah, and it even gets animated at one point during the show.
Yes. But
And
the reason that you need to see this is there's a Christmas tradition that was in Charlie's family where every morning all the Santas would come over and visit his mom and bring him a present.
Yep.
And that's when he realized that all those guys were coming over to have sex with his mom, and she was a prostitute, and they were paying her in Christmas gifts for Charlie.
Right. Well, it wasn't really Charlie realized it. It was Mac.
It was Mac that told him about it.
Yeah.
Same.
And then Mac, as a kid, he thought that everybody would go from house to house and open up the presents, and then he's like, well, there was these time there was these people at the top of the stairs, and he's like, that was just the next family coming in for their gifts, so we had to leave.
Yeah, we had to leave.
Oh, that was awesome. And this is on Hulu. You can find it on Hulu if you want to watch it.
Yes, it's highly recommended. Just to hear Charlie look Santa in the eyes and say, "You fucked my mom, Santa? Did you fuck my mom?"
Right.
And that's as far as I'll go, because you need, if you've never watched it, if you have watched it, you already know where it is, where it's what happens after that. If you haven't watched it, even though should be no spoiler alerts anymore, go watch it. You'll laugh your ass off.
Yeah, I've got to go with, and from there, I'm going to one of my all-time favorite TV shows, Robot Chicken Christmas.
Oh.
They have just a ton of them, and I have one of them is the first atheist mayor, and he cancels Christmas, and they're like, well, how can you cancel Christmas? He's like, you should have been kind of tuned into that when I ran as the first atheist mayor. And they're like, oh yeah. And Robot Chicken has this robot that kind of goes from different cartoons and kind of morphs into each one.
Mm-hmm.
But in one, he's fucking a washing machine and stuff like that. Well, in the first atheist mayor, he had taken the dong and the bell, so the bell wouldn't chime anymore.
Oh.
But then the robot comes in and sees the bell and starts fucking the bell, and so the bell's chiming, and the little kid says, "Oh, every time the bell chimes, an angel gets its wings, and you're up in heaven." This line of angels, and then all of a sudden it's like wings one by one, pop, 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 and then they all show up in the town as the mayor is walking down the street at night, and he sees them all lined up, and he knows he's fucked.
Nice.
That's one instance of it. Here's another one. I call it Santa Kills the Coke Reps.
Oh.
So we've talked about this before, how Coke had culturally appropriated Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
And so he shows up in their board meeting and says, oh, so you guys have been using my image for 40 years. And I've got no pay from it. And he just starts fucking them up. One of them, there's a door that says "Do not open." Opens up the door, and a polar bear comes out, throws him into the polar bear, shuts the door back up. Oh,
that's awesome.
And
so I do have one more.
Yep.
You cannot have, even though they've had 16 incidents of this or episodes of this throughout their years, you cannot have a list like this that does not have season 1, episode 1, Simpsons roasting on an open fire. The very first episode of The Simpsons was a Christmas episode.
Mm.
And it's where they end up going, Homer gets a job as a store Santa, and he ends up getting $12 for the whole thing, thinking that that's what's going to pay for all of Christmas. And so what they end up doing is they end up getting this. They bet it all on a dog track. The dog comes in last, and then when they're leaving the track, the dog is shooed away by its owners, and that is Santa's little helper, which is the dog that they have throughout the entire show.
Right.
That's how they get the dog. But it's funny that there's what, 31 seasons, 32 seasons now of The Simpsons. They've had 16 Christmas episodes. That means that those kids have gone through 16 Christmases, and if Bart is 10, I don't want to be I'm not a math major, but
mean he's 26 now?
yeah, there's a couple episodes where he's made references to that, and like one time they're in Moe's and he's sitting on the bar stool with Homer, and he's like, shouldn't I be able to legally drink in here now?
Right. Oh, see, I've got a couple more of the Robot Chicken ones I want to talk about. So this one's set during World War II. There is a Christmas truce, and the Germans and the Americans are sitting there talking out in the combat field, and they create a truce. Then all of a sudden, Santa's sleigh comes in. Is there a Private Doyle here? And the German goes, oh yes, here's Private Doyle. And he's like, I brought your Christmas wish, and brings out a gun and starts shooting Nazis. And then the one Nazi has Private Doyle and holds the gun to his head. But we had truce. He's like, I got your truce. Shoots him in the head and kills him. And the Private Doyle's like, we had a truce. You wrecked the truce.
Nice.
And the last one I'll talk about is what I call Santa Poops.
Santa Poops?
Santa Poops. Episode of Robot Chicken where he comes into the house and, he's eating a bunch of milk and cookies. And I think Santa might have a little bit of lactose issues. So he's putting in stuff in the candy.
Like Santa from the ref.
Right.
And it doesn't like all the milk and cookies. Santa's lactose intolerant.
Right. So he's putting stuff in the stockings, and all of a sudden he hears tumbling, rumbling. And he's like, oh, danger. And he runs. He finds a bathroom. On either side of the bathroom is like the kids' room and the parents' room. And then he's like just tearing up the bathroom. You just hear all the sounds and everything. He's like, oh, can't flush. I'll wake him up. Sorry, kids, you're coming into the danger zone in the morning. He opens, and his pooping woke up the kid who ran into his parents' room. Scared, waking up his parents. His dad grabs a bat. Santa opens the door, come out of the bathroom, whack, bat right to the head. But yeah.
Nice.
Santa poops. So do you have any honorable mentions?
Yes. So I was never really big on the newer ones like Christmas with the Cranks and Deck the Halls, and I didn't really get into any of those. But one that came out that wasn't too long ago was The Night Before. With Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen, and Anthony Mackie.
Yeah,
where they're a bunch of childhood friends that every year get together and have the same ritual of just basically getting fucking shit-faced.
Right.
But unfortunately, this was the year that was to be the last, but only one of them didn't know it yet.
Right.
And so that was a good movie, but I didn't think it was great enough to really throw into the list.
Right. One I completely forgot to put on my list, so I'll throw it in the honorable mentions, is The Man Who Invented Christmas.
Oh.
And this is basically about Charles Dickens and the inspiration he got to write the book and stuff like that. It is a really good movie. It's on either Netflix or Hulu. Me and my wife and kids watched it. So
nice.
But yeah, it's a really good movie.
A very Harold and Kumar Christmas on here.
Yeah. Or Daddy's Home too.
Yeah.
I'm going through like a list of Christmas movies and seeing
Mixed Nuts with Steve Martin.
Yes, I had that on my list and somehow didn't talk about it. But Mixed Nuts, yes, love that movie.
I'm kind of going through a list right here too. Yeah. The one that we didn't talk about that we should have had another genre just for classics is the original Miracle on 34th Street. I think it's a great movie.
I've never watched it. So maybe I'll check it out. I mean, I get in moods every once in a while where I get in the mood for like older movies and I'll watch them then. But I have to be in the right mood for it.
So with that one is great because Santa gets a part-time job as a store Santa at Macy's.
Right.
And the reaction of the store manager when he first hears Santa say, you know, we don't have it, but Dillard's down the street does. Like, wait, what?
Right.
The idea is to get them to spend their money here.
Right.
You know, this is, I call it pre-capitalism.
Yeah.
This is in the day of the age where, you know, it's like you still had advertising, but it's not like it is today.
Right.
You know, not everything is incorporated. I mean, yet they were in it to make money, but it wasn't on a global economic scale like it is today. So
right.
having them freak out back then was actually kind of funny.
Right. And I'm sure there's going to be people upset because we haven't mentioned Bad Santa or Bad Santa 2.
Right.
And I'm not going to. And that's it. That's all I'm mentioning about it. So there.
You know, I'm going through this IMDb list of these, and there's some of these I've never even heard of. And
yeah, there's
supposedly on the ultimate Christmas present.
Yeah, like there is one that I kind of want to watch. It's called Holiday in the Wild, and it's got Rob Lowe in it, and it's on Netflix. I watched the preview. I just never got a chance to actually watch it. Where this woman goes to Africa on a safari that was supposed to be with her husband who was cheating on her, so she went on herself, meets Rob Lowe, blah blah blah, falls in love. Which I'm assuming is the precedent of the movie, but they also are saving elephants and shit like that.
Okay.
So I like Rob Lowe, and I don't know who the woman's name is in here. I mean, she kind of reminds me of Andie MacDowell, but she's not because Andie MacDowell is a lot older than this girl.
So there's another Rob Lowe one on here called The Christmas Shoes. And I'm just going to read the thing. A young boy tries to get a pair of Christmas shoes for his dying mother, while a lawyer tries to deal with the breakup of his marriage. What?
Right. Well, I mean, we could also throw out like the Schwarzenegger one where they're trying to get that toy.
Was that Jingle All the Way?
Yeah, that's it. Didn't mention Jingle Jangle. I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, that's a great movie. I tried to watch it. I got like 10 minutes into it and was just bored by it. And I like musicals, but it bored me.
We did not mention Reindeer Games.
For a reason. We did not mention Ernest Saves Christmas for a reason. Or Love Actually for a reason.
Or anything with James Van Der Beek or Kirk Cameron.
Right. You know, I do have to say, when I was in high school, my girlfriend at the time, her parents, I really appreciated them because they introduced me to some culture that I never experienced before that, coming from a poor family. They took me and her and I, to see the Nutcracker in Grand Rapids.
Oh, nice.
The ballet.
Right, yeah.
And it was just incredible. I recommend that to anybody. It's an experience that you need to have at least one time in your life.
Nice.
But saying that, we went genre by genre.
There's one more I want to throw out really quick. And
okay.
Going through this list, and I'm surprised that I completely forgot about it until now. It's a movie called Trapped in Paradise. It had Nicolas Cage, John Lovitz, and Dana Carvey, where they're the three bumbling bank robbers who try to rob a bank at Christmas Eve, but then get trapped in the town. It's actually pretty damn funny.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember it. I don't know if I saw it or not. But yeah, so anyways, to wrap it, we went genre by genre of our favorite Christmas movies, and we are more of the obscure movie critics. We're going to give you movies that not everybody has seen. We're going to give you some that everybody has, but you know, we like to dig a little bit deeper than the norm.
Right.
You know, so we went with our favorites. that are truly our favorites. I mean, I didn't bring up 8 Crazy Nights. I love that one too, the Adam Sandler cartoon.
Right. It is a holiday movie.
Yep. But it's okay to not like the ones that are played over and over again. It's okay to go out and experiment with new stuff
Right.
because it opens your mind. And that's what Christmas is all about.
Right.
Loving each other, spending time with family and kids. Obviously, not as much family this year because of COVID,
Mhm.
but have your small groups to get together, socially distance, be responsible, but just love each other.
Right. And go out there and enjoy Boxing Day.
Yeah. I don't even know what Boxing Day is, but
It's a
isn't
day,
it Canadian?
It's a Canadian thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The day after. It's also the
Yeah.
anniversary of the big tsunami in Indonesia, but we won't go into that.
And, have a good Kwanzaa, a happy Hanukkah, a good winter solstice. Because, I mean, the Christian version of Christmas is celebrating the birth of Christ, but Christ was born in September.
He was not born in December.
No.
Okay,
So,
but we've gone into
yeah.
that already.
Yep. So, with that being said, Merry Christmas. Love you guys.
Insert holiday here.
Right.